my name is Olivia Mendez, and this is my Accuracy to Zigzag video, and I am going to be talking about imagery in writing. Imagery uses figures of speech like similes and metaphors to create emotions and sensations that mean different things to different people. It creates a clearer picture in the mind of the audience, so you can use imagery in your writing to convey to your audience the image that you want them to see, or so that it makes your story seem less boring and more like a video that's playing in their mind. If you relate a character to like cold imagery, your readers will think that character is cold and distant. So if you're creating a character who you want to seem distant, you would use wintry imagery, cold, ice, snow, all that kind of stuff. Changing the imagery could change the meaning of your story. So if you had a character named Ramona, and this is an example from the book, and it says Ramona's hair was the color of burnished mahogany, that makes Ramona seem refined and classy. And then there's another example, and it says Ramona's hair was the color of beef liver. That makes her seem less classy and more gross. You can use three types of imagery. There's lyrical imagery, and that conveys emotion. This is an example from the book. We stood shivering and wet, watching the aspen's leaves tremble like Bible pages in the rising gale. And then there's raw imagery that uses like intensity and darkness. So I made an example for this one. Mark spoke as if his heart was made of ice and it had just shattered into a million pieces. This conveys that he is a cold and distant person, or that he has had some trauma in the past and his heart has turned cold and it was just broken. There's fanciful imagery that seems that anything could happen. The clouds raced across the sky as if they were horses galloping in a field, escaping something that was chasing them. That creates the imagery of a storm rolling in without actually saying a storm is rolling in. You need to pay attention to your imagery through your story. If you start out a character and use morbid imagery to describe him and his personality, and then later on he turns into like a fanciful, flowerful character, people are going to think that you forgot about your character and who he really was, and it's going to lose their train of thought in your story. The only reason you could actually do that was if you did it on purpose. So if there was a major turning point in the character's life where he realized he needed to be a little bit nicer, or something traumatic happened and he realized that he needed to live life nicer, that would be a good way to do that instead of just forgetting your character. You can also use visual symbolism. You can use the imagery to portray themes, motifs, and symbols. So instead of just portraying like a character, if you want to get some idea across, you can use imagery throughout your story to make that happen as well. Imagery and writing for me, I try to create stories that portray my ideas and my beliefs through the imagery. So I don't want to just write out, say, what I'm thinking or what I want them to think or what I want them to believe after the story, or what I'm trying to influence them to believe. You can use the imagery to say this is what I believe in, but it's like a subtle way of doing it. Allegories, I think, are a good example of imagery, because it's pretty much just all a bunch of symbolism. So yeah, that is imagery.